Hey everybody! It is now just after midnight, so we're now into December 15th, but I couldn't let the day pass without talking about my rebirthday. Yay! Happy rebirthday! Um, it's been actually a really amazing day, and just wanted to share some of that with you. A lot of people ask, what's the rebirth day? And so for me, 26 years ago, I was in a very life-changing accident. And on this day, I always tell the story, and I'll share that with you now. So I was in Charleston, South Carolina. It was December 14th, and it was a very warm day. I was wearing Bermuda shorts and a t-shirt, and I was on my way to a Christmas party. And I was at a traffic light on Highway 17, which is a lot of lanes going one way and a lot of lanes going the other, and I was turning towards town. And so as I'd been sitting at the red light, and when the light turned green, I made it across several lanes of traffic, and there was a car barreling towards me, basically 85 miles an hour. He happened to be an elderly gentleman who shouldn't have been on the road anyway. But he was precisely where he was supposed to be at exactly the right time. And, you know, during that moment, everything that I thought I knew to be true, I was 21 years old, just dissolved in an instant. And time sort of stood still, and suddenly had this concept that time has nothing, to do with what we've made it to be about. And there I am with this car coming at me, which suddenly slows down. And I realized sitting in that moment that I had the choice to remain in my body and experience the impact of the accident, or I could exit and watch the accident. And so I took option B. And what was really interesting was, I'm the daughter of a Southern Baptist preacher. Yes, I know. Hi, Jenny Field. Yeah, I know some of you who know me from college be like, what? Yeah, preacher's daughter all the way. Being raised in that environment, I was, pretty set in my ways about what happens when one dies, and, what my expectations would be, who would be there to meet me, how that whole thing was going to play out. And what was so interesting about this experience was none of that happened. So I find myself in the car watching the accident getting ready to take place, and I remember so clearly going, oh, I'm getting ready to die. And I was totally okay with that, because suddenly I also realized that, oh, I'm getting ready to die, and I've done that loads of times. No big deal. How am I going to do it this time? What's going to be most effective? What can I take back with me? What am I going to learn? You sit back now and think about that and going, oh my gosh, 21-year-old me must have been freaking out. And I was just so calm. And it was quite amazing, because I was aware that in that moment I was in complete control of what was going to take place. And so, like I said, I took option B. I was like, you know what? That guy's going really fast and it's going to hurt. And so I decided I wasn't going to remain in the body. So next thing I know, there's this noise, and it sounds like a bagpipes, like a low drone and a bagpipes. And, I've come to understand over years of other experiences and research that is the frequency of the soul when it is within the confines of the earthly realm. So when in the body, there's that low drone, that low vibration, which I was now aware of as I exited the body. And so I'm kind of hovering over, looking down at this accident, and getting ready to take place. And one thing was crystal clear. I was like, okay, what just happened there? But I know who I am. Oh my God, I know who I am. And I immediately watch everything speed back up again, and I see this guy's car slam into the side of my car, and it T-boned me. And so next thing, I'm watching this car spin around through the intersection. I mean, it was nuts. And finally it came to a stop. Of course, all the traffic had stopped, because it was a bad accident. I watched my head go this way through the driver's side window, and like the windows are blown out, and the seat, because of the way I got hit, directly into that driver's side door, and I'm like folded in half, but the seat folded it in half underneath me. And so remember, I had on shorts, and there was glass everywhere, and it had flown up my shorts, and it was in my legs, and it was really bizarre. Because I remember looking at myself. I can see myself as I'm speaking to you right now so clearly. And I was strapped into the, with the belt across, and I looked like a little puppet just kind of hanging there. And I looked at myself, and I was just like, oh, okay. I was aware that had been my body. I was aware what that body had been through, over the last 21 years. But I had absolutely no attachment. And I've come to, as I give talks all the time, and you come up with various descriptions of what this is actually like. And for me, the one that is the most realistic to what that moment was like, imagine if you were outside and it was like super hot, and you're out and you're cutting the grass, or you're working in the garden, or doing whatever, and you come inside and you're finished, and you peel off the dirty clothes and you throw them down by the washing machine. You'll get to them later. And then you go into your shower, and you're having this fabulous, luxurious shower, and you're washing all the muck and the grime off, and you're just like, oh, this feels so good. The last thing that you are thinking of when you are bathing in that shower and feeling so fantastic is the dirty clothes sitting by the washing machine. And so when you leave your body, and you're kind of looking back, and you're just like, there's no attachment, none. This is, people always ask, oh, do my loved ones miss me, and they wish they were still alive? And I'm like, no. Sorry. Are they aware of who you are and what what you're doing, and involved in experiences on other levels? Of course. But like, are they pining away to get back into the body? No. It'd be like putting on wet clothes. Imagine that sensation. So, I'm looking down at this body. I'm very aware of what it's done. And the next thing that I remember is a girl that I went to college with. Her name was Mim. Happened to live in Charleston as well. Now, Charleston's not like a tiny village, there's like 350,000 people. She happened to be at the traffic lights a few cars behind me. What are the odds? And I remember seeing her see my car smashed to bits, and recognizing that was me in there. And the most distinct feeling of being able to feel her anxiety. I wasn't in it, as in experiencing her anxiety, but I was aware of it. It was kind of like being in it, but not of it. I could know and feel and sense how she was feeling. And it was like this keen awareness of everything that's going on around you. It's like being, you're out of your body and you've never been so alive. It was wild. So I remember seeing her, and then now people are starting to congregate, because there's the dead girl in the car hanging, up by the seatbelt on the pin to the back of the car. And the windows are now blown out. I've knocked the one out with my head, and the other one shattered. And the weirdest thing, this lady comes up, and she puts her phone number, her name and address and phone number. She reaches through, like there's a person, a human being in the car, strapped in, head smashed, and she puts her phone number on the passenger seat of the car. And I'm like, she must have had somewhere to be, or she didn't want to get involved, or whatever. But I always thought that was really peculiar. So it really stuck out to me how odd she put her phone number in there. And next thing, there was a guy in a uniform who came up, and he reached through the passenger side and turned the ignition off, because the car was still running. And I remember seeing him do that. And so next thing, that drone, that kind of bagpipey sound I was talking about, it disappears, and it becomes the most incredible, I don't have the kind of words to describe, celestial, whatever you want to call it, music. The vibration increased, and it became so rapid, and I could feel me. I could feel this essence of who I was that had been in that body starting to suddenly vibrate differently. And the music is getting so beautiful. It is, it's so much faster. It's so much of it's a much higher frequency. And I can feel this happening. And this is where everybody's like, it's the tunnel of light. And I missed it totally. I was like in this plane watching this car accident take place. And the next thing I was somewhere else. And so during that time, as I arrive in this somewhere else, it was so bizarre because the atmosphere was palpable. Like I could touch the air around me. And I remember feeling, oh my God, I'm home again. And not home like, oh, I've returned to heaven and I'm going to be here for the rest of my life, sitting on a cloud playing a harp kind of home, but home as in this space in between lives. Because remember, the preacher's daughter has just become suddenly aware, oh, I have the choice of how I'm going to go and experience this death. Therefore, that means I've died before. Oh, okay, I'm good with that. I get that. It was just so natural, which was so bizarre because that was not, I don't even know if reincarnation was in my vocabulary at that time. I don't even know if I knew what it was. But it was just so natural. So I get into this space and I'm like, oh, okay, I know where this is. I've been here before. And I'm just in absolute wonder, but in joy, pure and utter joy. So am I thinking about the dirty clothes next to the washing machine or my body that's trapped in that car? Absolutely not. So I'm like soaking it up, loving the vibe. It's amazing. And however long I sat like that, I have no idea, in our time. But eventually the atmosphere in front of me starts taking shape. And so these two, and there were two very distinct beings, step forward, and everybody's like, was it angels? I'm like, if they were angels, they didn't have wings, but they were distinctly beings of a higher vibration, and they were just there in front of me, and they had more or less kind of materialized out of this palpable atmosphere, like the air you could touch. And I remember what they were wearing, the outfits. They were kind of a caramel color. It was really bizarre. I'd never seen the color before. And speaking of, any of the colors that were in the atmosphere around me, never seen before. I just hadn't seen them here on Earth. So I can't give you a name or a description other than one I really remember was like this magenta color that had this really pearly kind of a sheen to it, like a translucence to it. I'll never forget that color. It just stuck with me for some reason. And but these two step forward, and I'm aware that both of them appear to have a male countenance. And I'm looking at them, and, I know some of you out there are probably in the same stage of life that I am, where sometimes your memory slips up on you a little bit, and you get in that awkward moment where somebody you've known forever, or, hi, here's my great friend, and here's her husband, and I can't think of his name, even though I've known him for 25 years. This was happening to me in that moment. I was going, I know these guys. Oh my God, I know these guys. Who are you? And they very patiently waited, absolutely patiently waited. And it was like just being surrounded by love. It's like, imagine a favorite teacher from your past, someone who worked so diligently with you and was so loving and so patient. They didn't have to put up with you at nighttime after school, so they weren't worn out like your parents probably were. But they were just that loving, just Debbie Stokes. You remind me of that. She was a very important part of my childhood. Sweet lady at home, Debbie. And she was so wonderful because she always smiled and she always looked you in the eye when she spoke to you. And even as a small child, her gift was making you feel important. And that, if I'm thinking of a human being that reminds me of that, Debbie, that's you. And there was just this sense of, you're safe, you're okay, and I'm listening to you because you matter. What you're saying and feeling is important to me. And so that's how, imagine that like on steroids, magnified 10,000. And that's what it felt like, because these two beings are sitting there waiting for me, more or less to remember who they are. And they waited, and then all of a sudden I just went, boom, the light bulb went on, and I'm like, oh my God, you're my guardians. Oh, I have guardians. And some people call them guardian angels, whatever. They weren't family members. They definitely weren't people that I had known on Earth. I recognized them as beings that had been with me since the dawn of time. And there's that instant knowing that you've existed since the dawn of time, and that somebody actually cares about what's happened to you. They were, when I finally did make that click, the reunion was just joyful. It was absolutely like the best homecoming ever. And I remember the embrace. Now, remember, you're not in your physical body anymore. You're in a light body. You're in your etherical self. And so imagine that hug is just pure energy. and you're being surrounded by someone else's pure energy. And it was the best feeling in that world. Um, and as soon as we reconnected and they allowed me to remember who they were, my next conscious memory of that is going into a life review. And they sat with me because, again, some of you on here I see who went to college with me. I was a wild one. Yeah, I had a really good time. I did some stuff and had a great time. I wouldn't have been exactly what you call an angel. And yeah, so my life review was quite interesting. I'm not sure what the rating on that movie would be, but anyway, I watched my life. I got to see my life from start to finish, but not just see it. I got to feel it. And this is what was really interesting, is that as I'm watching my life unfold from childhood, now I'm feeling choices and decisions that I made along the way, watching myself learn and grow. And I got to see what it felt like to be on the receiving end of decisions that I made regarding kindness, gossiping, saying unkind things about somebody, not making good choices, not being conscious of someone else's feelings, making very good choices, being that little girl who went over to the old people to play because I knew that they didn't have children of their own, and I made them homemade gifts and things like that, and knowing what that felt like. It wasn't just the bad stuff, it was the goods, it was all the stuff. And I got to sit in this life review and actually feel my way through my life. So sometimes when you're right in the middle of something, you're not able to see it from a 360 perspective. But when you're watching this literally from 360, as in my review was taking place all the way around me. It was like being in an IMAX cinema that was in a 360 room, and you're looking and the movie's taking place all around you. And it's all happening simultaneously. It's wild. This is when ADD really comes in handy, because I was down with that stuff, man, because I could keep my eye on everything that was happening all at once. And it was a really neat sensation of being able to go through your life and go, oh my God, that tiny little thing, that one little thoughtful thing that I did, or that one little snide remark I made about somebody. Do you know, I can really, at this age, think back and I can remember the few snide comments that I made about people when I was a child. And the reason I can remember is because they were, number one, they were few, because I was always conscious of people's feelings, and that they really stuck with me because I knew that I was being hurtful. And so not only did I hurt them, I hurt me too. And I hurt me so much that I remembered how much it hurt. And so being in this experience was a lot like that. It was being able to feel what it felt like to be on the giving and receiving end at the same time. And that's what's so interesting about Earth, because Earth is totally about duality. And that's something, in that space that I got to learn about the experience of coming here, is being in the duality. We cuss it and think it's awful, and, the light and the dark, and, why can't we just have peace and joy? Because Earth School is about duality, folks. That's what we come here to experience. And this was happening as in getting to experience the feel-good moments and the horrifying moments all at the same time. And it was really interesting because, I know my own story. So as I was watching it unfold, there are those moments where you're like, oh my God, I remember what I did. Ooh, do I really have to watch? Yet at the same time, I might have been singing in the nursing home to the old people with my children's choir the same day that I had said an ugly comment about somebody else. And you're getting to see the duality of life and how important that is in our growth and development on a soul level. It was fascinating. So I go through this life review, and when this was finished, I became very aware that my plan, my soul plan, and what I had created for myself, what I wanted to experience, wasn't finished yet. And nobody forced me, and nobody made me. And let me tell you guys, fabulous space, best feeling ever. So to make a conscious decision to come back here was actually a big deal, and it was my choice. I totally recognized that I wasn't finished and that I wanted to come back here because I think I knew in my heart of hearts in that moment that I was going to be able to remember that space in an extremely detailed way. And that's why I've written about it. And that's why I continue to write about it. And that's why I continue to share the things that have unfolded over the course of the last 26 years. Because I have such a detailed memory about it. And I sat in that space and I went, I'm going back. And nobody forced me. Nobody made me, because in that moment, the word apotheosis came to mean everything to me. And apotheosis means man discovering his own divinity. In this case, woman. I suddenly realized that I am my own creator. I was creating my experiences based on what my soul wanted to learn. Do I believe in a higher creator? Do I believe in a higher innate intelligence and organizing power, a loving, some people call it God, some people call it whatever. Absolutely. Oh my Lord. Absolutely. However, I realized that being made in the image of God has been mistaken over time as being made like in the physical image, man and woman being made in the physical image of God. It's not the physical image, it's the emotional image of God. We are able to create through our own thoughts, through our own consciousness, and we become our creators, and therefore we are gods. Know ye not that ye are gods? One of the great avatars who walked the earth, Jesus said, that we would do the same things that he did, only greater. But people trivialize this stuff and they make it all religious. And I'm like, guys, you're missing it all. This is about learning your apotheosis. Your apotheosis is discovering your own divinity, realizing that you've been created in the image of God, as in you are a creator. Every thought you think, everything that you do, you can think yourself into a completely different reality. Let me tell you something. December 13th, the day before I had the accident, do you actually think that the way my life was heading was the way that I obviously on a soul level had intended? No, because this accident that would have changed my life and literally taken me from this direction to this direction. I mean, I changed everything. I was in a relationship at the time. We ended up getting married. It didn't last for long because of the fact that, I was a completely different person. And the job that I was doing, I had a degree in communications and graphic design. And suddenly, I come out of this accident with a broken neck, and I decide I want to be a chiropractor because my dead grandfather told me that they thought it would be good for me to learn how the human body operates because of some of the gifts that I would be coming back with. Really? Yeah, you got to be a little bit nuts to handle all of this. And so I guess they picked the right gal. So in that departing moment, when I'm leaving that space, these two very loving beings basically go, they're going to be signposts all through your life. There are going to be people, there's going to be feelings, things. If you pay attention, like if you keep your eyes and your heart open, there are going to be places and things and people and feelings the whole way through that if you teach yourself, if you train yourself to listen to these things, your life will be one that is absolutely extraordinary. You're going to live in a space of complete peace. You're going to, and I don't mean peace as in, I've got nothing going on in my life. My life is nuts, but I love it. That's where the peace is. I love the nuts in my life. I love it. So basically they said to me, you're also going to be going back, and some of the things that you've been able to do since you were small, i.e., since I was small, I was able to see dead people. I see dead people. I was always able to dream things that would happen. I had a really interesting childhood, and my greatest friend growing up was my grandfather, and he taught me so much, and he taught me so much about spirituality and as far as man's servitude, what we had come here for, that, my role as a steward to humanity, and his role as a doctor that went far beyond healing the human body, but to connect the body, the mind, and the soul together. And we had these really great conversations. The only thing was he had died when I was 1. And, my parents had to sit me down finally one day and go, sweetheart, do you realize that your grandfather isn't in a body? And that was an interesting conversation. So he appears after this accident, and he's like, you're going to go back to chiropractic school. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Chiro what? I just graduated from 4 years of college. education was finally over for me. I was delighted. This accident happened 6 months later. Next thing you know, Bob's your uncle. I'm gone to chiropractic school. And the reason that they wanted me to do this is I needed to learn the human body inside and out. And the reason that I needed to learn the body inside and out was because people are going to be coming to me with these physical and emotional problems that they needed guidance through. And rather than me going, yeah, it's something kind of around here, I could specifically see the image of a thyroid or, a carotid artery or whatever, and know what I was talking about. And be very specific in helping people and guiding and working through and visualizing and creating a new pathway for someone to heal themselves. So it was quite amazing. So when they're like, your abilities to do the things that you could do before, like having the dreams and seeing the, people who had passed, that's going to increase big time. And we're also going to be adding a few things onto that. And these will unfold as you're ready. And I'm like, okay, you can't, that's like dangling the carrot in front of the donkey here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You'll see. So next thing, there's that noise again, that really beautiful music. It's, it's been there the whole time, but it's like I can feel every molecule in my being speeding up. And as this happens, there's this whoosh and boom. I am back in my body. I'm on the pavement. I'm being thrown into the back of an ambulance. I'm get to the hospital. I'm in and out of consciousness, and I'm like screaming about it. Don't let me die. Don't let me die. That's what they thought I was saying. What I was going is, I was just dead. I was just dead. And there's this lady sitting in the back of the ambulance, and she's stroking my hair, and she's like, don't worry, sweetheart. You're going to be fine. We won't let you die. And I'm like, no, I've already been dead. And it was incredible. So I get to the hospital, and I'm in and out the whole time, and I remember waking up and hearing the voice over the loudspeaker in the ER. First thing I remember. And this guy comes into the room, and he's in a uniform, and he's standing there, and he's looking at me, and he said, you're one lucky little lady. First thing out of his mouth. Never forget it. Big, thick Southern accent on him. And I'm looking, and I'm like, hey, I know you. And he gets this kind of weird look on his face. And I'm like, you were at the accident. And he's like, yeah. And he said, do you think you can tell me anything? So basically, he's looking for facts. He's not a doctor. He's the policeman. And he's looking for facts about what actually happened. How did this whole thing unfold? And so I'm like, oh, you know what? You should talk to my old roommate or my old suite mate from college. She was there. She saw this whole thing happen. And he's like, and his face is like screwing up, and he's looking at me funny. And I'm like, and there was that lady who put her phone number in the passenger seat. I thought, so weird. And the whole time I'm like realizing like I can't swallow properly. And I'm like, I didn't realize my neck was broken, and nobody else did either. It was a Saturday. I don't know if staffing was short or whatever, but I fell through some major cracks and found out about many injuries later on. And so he's kind of looking at me. He's like, young lady, how on earth do you know about your suite mate being there, or about the lady putting her phone number in the car? And I'm like, well, I saw him. And he was like, there's no way. And all of a sudden, I look at him, and I'm like, oh my God, you were the officer. You're the one who reached in and turned the car off. And now he's like freaking out, because he goes, young lady, there is absolutely no way that you could know, because I'm the one who had to help pull you out of the car. And, they had to pull the door off and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, you were gone, out, gone. There's no way you could know all of those things happening. And I'm like, okay. And that you could literally hear the penny drop for both of us. He's going, oh my God. I'm going, oh my God. And the guy's like backing up out of the room, closing his little notebook. And I'd say the conversations in his house were very interesting that night. So now I'm sitting in this hospital room, and I'm like left with this whole kind of realization, what just happened to me? And, I've had people ask me many times over the years, don't you think if you hit your head that hard, you had a brain injury or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, I could rock with that. Only here's the weird bit. Um, if I'd had a brain injury, I wouldn't have been aware of being able to see my sweet mate. I wouldn't have been able to see from a bird's eye view the woman walk over and put her phone number in the car. I wouldn't have been able to recognize that officer, excuse me, who helped get me out of that car. And, I'm sitting there in that moment realizing, oh my God, my life is getting ready to get really crazy. And so the closest, anybody who knows me, and I see a good few people on here who've known me for basically all of my life, and, what you see is what you get. This is who I am. I've always been a pretty happy chappy. And, I can say honestly, most days I'm rarely in bad form. Rarely. My children might disagree with you, but the reality is I'm usually pretty up all the time. And I have a lot to be grateful for. Why wouldn't I be? And I can say that the 3 days that followed that accident, and it was distinctly 3 days, were probably the closest I've ever come to anything like a depression. Imagine you've just stepped through the portal. You've just lifted the veil. And you just remembered who you actually are. And now you've made this conscious choice to come back, which, hey, when you're in your light body and you're perfect and omnipotent and remembering all that whole divine and eternal and loving and wonderful, you're like, yeah, put me back into the broken body. Yeah. Should have thought that one through. But you go back in and you're in this body and suddenly realizing, okay, I'm pretty messed up now. I detached a retina. I lost my hearing. I broke pretty much the left side of my body in a lot of injuries that went unrecognized. And there was a reason for that too, because it was a chiropractor in Charleston, South Carolina, who basically educated me. And he taught me the vitalistic philosophy of life, this whole mind, body, spirit principle that, that I wasn't my pieces and parts, and I wasn't just the meat wagon, and I was more than my body, and that there, were 3 extremely important elements to my wholeness, and that each one of those had to be intact and working intrinsically with the other in order for me to be having a full and complete experience. And so it took his discovery of these other injuries, i.e. he x-rays me, as he does for his first visit. And he's like, oh, by the way, your neck's broken. Oh, okay, thanks for that. Is that why I can't swallow properly? And I'd sit in front of these great plates of food and I couldn't eat them. And he's like, yeah, pretty much. But my interest, my love for chiropractic developed because of this relationship. And he taught me, and I was able to have my own personal experience of healing through chiropractic, and I was able to avoid a whole lot of the things that had been suggested. Now, I'd already been told after, the initial evaluations, forget the children, your pelvis is whacked, you're completely crooked, not happening, you wouldn't be able, even if you got pregnant, you wouldn't be able to carry a pregnancy. I have 2 children, and basically I was given a list of the things I'd never be able to do. I'd never hear out of this left ear, that detached retina. I've got loads of floaters, if any of you have ever had those, the little black spots. Yeah, big deal. You have thousands of them. When it snowed the other day, oh my God, floater nightmare, because it's like totally white and there's black specks everywhere. It's like living in a microscopic amoeba field. But you get on with it. Weird stuff in my ear the whole time because of the hearing loss. I have a funny little head tilt. I'm in constant pain. I've been in chronic pain for 26 years now. And guess what happens? Every single morning I wake up and I decide that what I want to do in the day is bigger than the pain that I have. Truth. That's how I get through the day. I've got a lot of issues, a lot of pain. And everybody's like, oh, but you can do this and get out of pain. I don't have a problem with the pain, and that really bugs people. I don't have a problem when I get sick. That bugs people too. You're spiritual. You're a healer. You're not supposed to not Why do you want to feel like that when there's so many different things out there? It's not that I want to feel like that. It's that I don't have a problem feeling that way. I've made peace with all of that. I'm like, I can totally and peacefully coexist with whatever this body's got going on, because this body is a vessel, this body is a vehicle, and I'm not this body. And if I came back with one sure thing, that's exactly what I learned. And, you know, going through that chiropractic education gave me, you know, this vitalistic philosophy of life, and the ability to translate some of the things that I was feeling in that experience to other people, explaining to them that, you know, you're so much more than the body, and the body is an innate intelligence, and being able to share that message with people. But the other trick with that was chiropractic also allowed me to get my hands on lots of people. So, you know, at this stage in my career, 20 years later, easily probably 150,000 to 200,000 people I have touched in some way, shape, or form. And it has allowed me to, to know what it means to be a soul having a human experience as opposed to a human having a soulful experience. Here's the big secret, guys. You know, we spend all of our lives looking towards getting back, or, you know, discovering our divinity and touching our spirituality and having these soulful experiences. I'm like, guys, you left perfection to come here and to have a big, get down and dirty, fantastic, woeful, horrible, amazing, exhausting, exhilarating human experience. And we seem to spend all of our time trying to avoid that. We hate anything that is uncomfortable. So, you know, when you're dealing with a body that got as messed up as mine did, it really unnerves other people that I've got all this stuff going on, especially, all right, because I'm a doctor. Like, I'm not supposed to have illnesses or ailments because I'm a doctor, or because I had a near-death experience and I've got this total, you know, hook up red phone hotline to heaven going on here, that I'm not supposed to be ill. Or, you know, I'm like, what is the problem with that? Having stuff wrong with my body is part of my human experience. I also am really quick at healing stuff. I've had cancer twice. You know, over the last 25 years, I healed both of them within 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Now, can everybody do that? Probably not. But I also practice every single day what I do. You know, some people are excellent singers. Some people are amazing dancers. Some people are brilliant artists. I'm really, really good at controlling what happens in my body. And I made myself a willing guinea pig to be able to bring things into my body and get rid of them just as easily, to show by being a living example to other people that this is possible. Now, why this unnerves people, I don't know, but it does. And I've never had so many people comment to me, go, "You're the sickest healer I've ever met." I don't care. And I'm not sick right now. I just need a glass of water. You know, so the things that go on in my body, I've been able to use over the years to help other people understand what's happening in their own bodies. And it's quite amazing because, you know, I deal with, especially being a chiropractor, you know, we get some of the people who come in with this really bizarre stuff. You know, they've gone to everyone else. Sometimes we're the last resort. Now, I've educated all my folks where, you know, the people who come into my practice are there because they want to be well and healthy, and they know that chiropractic helps them do that. But, you know, you'll get the ones that'll straggle in who are there because you're their last resort. And they're happy to tell you that too. So those are really fun ones because it's really neat to have experienced so many different things in my body. And be able to go, yeah, you know, when the lady's going, yeah, but it feels like there's ants crawling up my face, and they said that there's nothing there, and they x-rayed me, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I've had that before. You know, I had a lady in with trigeminal neuralgia today, and, you know, that's the top of one of my, my lists of ailments. And, you know, does it suck? Yeah, sometimes it really sucks. For all of these years, I will go through bouts of getting this horrendous stabbing pain. They call them suicide headaches. That's what they're technically called. Into the eyeball and down the face and all this. So to be able to turn around to this lady today and go, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know exactly how to help you fix this. And to watch her face and to watch the relief And after having come from, the medical model where they told her there is no cure for this, and you're going to have to learn to get used to this. And I'm like, really? So you're going to go based on what somebody else told you, and that's going to be your experience. Now you've just created that for yourself. So let's uncreate that thought and let's create something else. And this is where that whole art of being your own creator comes in handy. And, there's not a day that goes by when I don't wake up and I feel myself in my body. Something hurts, it aches when I roll over and get up out of bed, and I'm like, yes, because I know I'm here. And for somebody who died 26 years ago on December 14th, that's a really big deal. So I don't have an issue when I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit sore. Getting old is so easy for me. I'm loving it. Number one, I'm blessed to be 48. I'm so glad that I'm here and that I'm able to share my life with people and be part of people's life stories and to share the gifts and that I have been blessed with and the things that I do. But I'm probably the only person who wakes up and is like, yeah, thanks for that backache. Yeah, that little buzzing in my ear, thanks for that. The headache, rock on, I got it. Because it allows me to know that I'm still in my body. Now, do I have to live like that all the time? No, because I can wake up like that and then I can do something or change the thought or change my activity or the way that I'm working in my body and make it go like that. It's quite incredible. So it's more of a game for me now. Pain is not something that I'm at war with. And I have a lot of friends who are in a lot of pain. And don't get me wrong, when you've been like me, I've been diagnosed with polymyalgia. I was diagnosed with, like I said, I've had breast cancer twice, polymyalgia. A lot of people don't realize that I had a pituitary brain tumor that I got rid of using frequency. You name it, I've had it. So I am no stranger to ailment or pain. It's just that I'm not prisoner of it either. And so people are like, you look good. You must not have the same level of pain that I have with this, with my chronic fatigue or with my fibromyalgia or my polymyalgia. Yeah, trust me, I do. It's just that my pain and we get along really well. I haven't made pain my enemy. Pain is something that I have had a positive association with all throughout my life because it allows me to recognize when I'm off mark, okay? Those of you who are religious folks out there who like to use the word sin, do you know what the origin of sin actually is? Sin means to miss the mark. It means to be without understanding, okay? So, for me, to be in a body that is a constant reminder and such an acutely fine-tuned machine that it allows me to know when I've missed the mark. What do I mean by that? 90 to 95% of the ailments that I experience on any given day are in direct response to somewhere in my life where I'm missing the mark. Why on earth would I want to get rid of that? Why would I want to medicate that? Why would I want to, the reason I am a chiropractor and the reason I get adjusted all the time is because I have a beautifully functioning nervous system, despite all of the ailments and things that are going on in my body. I have a nervous system that fires like that, and it lets me know when something is off key. Pain is one of those symptoms. Pain is one of those bells or alarms that goes, hey, you need to pay a little attention to this. And so I've gotten into a lifelong habit of it. I don't medicate over that. And I'm not like, oh my God, I'm in pain again. I'm like, all right, what are you trying to say to me? What's going on here? Where am I missing? I can guarantee you, if I'm having one of those days where I'm not feeling particularly chipper, or I'm irritated about something, or I've allowed someone to get under my skin, I'm going to get a hive, I'm going to get a rash, I'm going to get a whatever. I am so reactive to the world around me, and it's actually really cool because I've got this thing down to a fine science. To me, the picture of health is not a body that never expresses anything. It's a body that is able to perfectly express everything. And we have made that such the enemy. And I'm sitting here, you know, all these years later, and, you know, I'm tap dancing in a week. I'm doing Strictly Come Dancing, and I'm, you know, in this competition, and I'm tap dancing, right? Yeah. I ache afterwards, and I love it. You know why? Because I'm living, and I'm tap dancing, and it's something I always wanted to do. And if you can see behind me, I just spent the last 3 weeks painting my Scotch plaid over the fireplace. It's something I've always wanted to do. So I'm like this. I was like freaking Michelangelo for like 3 weeks. And my neck and my shoulders and my arms are aching. I look at that thing and I'm like, oh man, that ache was so worth it. I'm not at war with the aches and pains. Do you know? I have a perfectly functioning system, you know, many thanks to chiropractic for that, that allows me to know that when something is off key, when I have sinned within my body, and sinned means to miss the mark, when I have sinned with a thought process that is not in unique and perfect alignment with my physical process, something in there is going to let me know, hey, Dumbo, pay attention and do something. And I'm like, boom, I got this. So, you know, I would encourage you on my 26th birthday, you know, to apply some of these things to yourself. You are divine. We are incredibly magnificent creatures. We are eternal, divine, omnipotent souls who chose to come to a planet of duality. World peace, are you kidding? Not happening here. Donald Trump, politics, Russia, Ireland, whatever you got going on, it's all part of it. There is not a single event and not a single person who's going to cross your path that does not have a gift to bring to you. And that doesn't apply sometimes, it applies all the time. So if you can teach yourself to learn to see the gift, classic example. This has been a great day of I've really been noticing the world around me today on my 26th birthday. I had to call the girl's dad for something. You know, the girls not their dad has been gone for over a decade, and we see him like once a year. And you know, the first good 8 years of that breakup, they were pretty rocky. There were some pretty hard feelings, and I had my opinion about how things worked, and, you know, I've grown and evolved, and of course I can tell you all about it, but when I had to apply it to my own life, forget it. But today I just had this overwhelming peace about me, and I had to call him for something having to do with Christmas, and I woke him up, because he was in a different country than where I thought he was, so the time zone was different. I caught him in the middle of the night. And my heart suddenly just filled with love. And I mean, talk about a birthday gift. My heart just filled with love. And I was like, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you. And I wanted you to know how grateful I am for everything. And I'm talking about everything. Not the stuff that felt good in the beginning. All of it. The last decade of everything that we've been through. The hard knocks, the hard times, the ill feelings, the irresponsibilities, you name it. And I was just like, there is no way that you could have been a part of my life without me needing to see, experience, feel, and learn how to react or not react to what you were giving to me. I see the gift. And I want you to know how much I love you for that. And I was like, oh my God, I just told the girl's dad how much I loved him for what he had done for me. Now, he's in a new relationship. My girls adore her. She's fabulous. She's a lovely, lovely person. I had the great opportunity to meet her this summer. They have a little boy. So the girls have a little brother now. He's 2, and he's gorgeous. I adore this kid. Love him. And we had this great connection, he and I. And I was able to say to their dad, I am so grateful that these girls have this little brother and another baby on the way. And I'm so grateful that you have a partner who cares about them and that they adore. What more could I ask for? And my heart was just, it was getting big. It was like the Grinch. It was growing 3 sizes bigger. And my heart was just getting so full. And I was like, I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thanks. Thank you for allowing me to have this experience with you. Because everything, every annoyance, every irritation, every time I got sick thinking about it, and I used to pull gallbladder attacks, what they thought were gallbladder attacks, and I'd get to the hospital and there'd be no gallstones or no gallbladder irritation, but they were full-on gallbladder attacks. It was my body reacting to the bitterness and the anger and the angst because of our relationship. And I learned because of that. I've helped so many other people because of knowing that the body works that way. And I was like, man, what if I hadn't had that? And, my children, oh my gosh, my girls, how could I not say thank you for the gift of these great teachers in my life? And so I sat there on the phone with this guy who, if truth be told, has hurt me more than any other human being on the planet could ever hurt me, challenged me in ways that I never even thought humanly possible. And also created opportunities for me to learn how to act, react, and then not react. And I felt the deepest love and gratitude on a soul level. Like, namaste, dude. And what I mean is my love and my soul loves your soul. And I feel your love for me in return. Rock on, man. Thank you. And I want you to know how absolutely delighted I am that my girls can be part of your new family. And all the joy that that's going to bring to them later in life. And it was done. I just had this swelling in my heart and these feelings of just wonder and awe. And so today on this rebirth day, I went into my office. My office manager, Maureen, has been with me from day dot. She's been there through everything. With us having no blood relations over here, we have lots of friends that are our family here. And anytime I've ever been sick, if I needed chicken soup or if I needed anything, Maureen was always there. She's been wonderful. And so today I just walked into the office and I was just like, I sat down and I'm like, oh, by the way, Merry Christmas. You're getting a big fat raise as of right now. And she just kind of sat there like, what? And I was like, yeah, it was time to just honor how much she does for me. And it felt so good in the giving. Oh my gosh. I got to turn to the guy who runs my office, Dr. Joe, and just go, here's the deal. Here's what we're working on. And, are we running parallel on our plan? And he was like, absolutely. I'm there. We got it. And I was just looking at him going, do you know what? I am so blessed to have you in my life. I am so, so fortunate that you're here and that you're able to carry the mantle, because I've got a lot of other work that I'm doing. And even though I'm seeing patients once a week, he sees them all the other days. And he sees them with a passion and a love and a philosophy that I carry in my own heart. And that's hard to come by sometimes. And I'm just so, so grateful. And to be able to go in and just go, you guys mean so much to me. And for you to be able to help me keep this place going so that I can go out and kind of spread this whole word of love, man, one love. That's why I'm here. I agreed to come back. I agreed to come back to this world, the one, the one we were talking about that's so full of hate and so full of love simultaneously. I wanted to be here. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. I got a lot to be happy about because I chose to be here. And I know a whole lot of you out there can't remember choosing it. And you're like, no way, I would have never chosen this. You did, even though you can't remember. But I am so blessed to be able to remember that I get to go through every day. I wake up going, you chose to be here. Nobody's making you be here. Nobody's making you experience the pain. Nobody's made you experience any hardship. You chose to be here because you understood. You understood how important it was to your soul's growth and development, and you chose to come back here to help other people see the same thing. And I'm like, I'm in awe of that. I'm in awe of myself. Do you know? I'm in awe of having made that choice. And I just wanted to thank everyone out there too, because the support that I've had over the years and all the weirdness that's gone on in my life, you know, the things that I write about, the things that I speak about in public, the things that I post on Facebook, things that I do on Instagram, do you know, like all of these things, some of them are pretty out there. And I am eternally grateful for all of you who have found that space in your hearts to speak up and to be able to go, yep, I get it, you know, or no, you know what, I don't get it, but I applaud you for trying. And I've had such tremendous support. I've had so much support that I don't even see or hear the negativity. Have I heard negative comments, or have I had that? Absolutely. And I take on board anything that I think can help me learn and grow as well. But it's all been such a positive experience. And I'm looking back over the last 26 years of my life since this accident took place, and I've literally lived the duality of two lives. I had 0 to 21, and I've had 21 now to 48. And I would not change a single thing. That is the honest to God truth. I wouldn't change a single thing. The people that have been in my life, the romantic relationships that I've had, you know, this 4-year hiatus of not having any relationship in my life, you know, of a romantic nature, it was by choice, and it was something I needed to do because I was really at a time where I needed to focus on my children and my family. And the time will come when that'll come back in. But I have also come to learn to really love me. I love me. I love my own company. And I don't need anyone to complete me. That's not what I'm looking for in a relationship. And I don't know that that was the case beforehand. You know, when I was 21 and getting ready to get married, I remember I used to go visit my engagement ring. I think I wanted the ring more than I wanted the marriage. And I'm like, I'll just go buy myself a ring. But I've learned so much about myself and learned so much about life. And I've really, really come to love and enjoy and appreciate this life. And so to sit here 26 years following a near-death experience and to go, wow, I'm working on my 8th book right now, my 8th book. Tomorrow night I'm talking to a film producer in LA. And I have a fantastic business partner who is in Los Angeles, and we're rocking something that is going to be absolutely world changing. We're working on this project. I've had such blessing to know some really, really cool people in my life, and I intend to be here for a lot longer to do that. And what can I have but deep and utter gratitude for all of these experiences? And, you know, I have spent the last decade paying off financial mistakes that were made by the girl's dad and I. And it's been tough some of the times. I mean, there have been days where I'm like, we're totally scraping, but I'm really creative. I am so grateful for my clever and creative mind, and I've had that since I was a little kid. I have found ways to have fun and to travel and to do things, everything that I wanted to do. We've been deprived of absolutely nothing. And sometimes we've done it on absolutely nothing. And I wouldn't change it for the world. And if everything had worked out, and if financially we had gone the way that, you know, some of us get into our 30s and hope things will go, if all of that had happened that way, I wouldn't be able to stand here today and open up the electricity bill and go, hey, I use the lights. I'm happy to pay this. No problem. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to scrape this and that together to make this happen, but I always do. I am an alchemist. I am able to turn lead into gold like that. And you know how I do it? With my mind. No, I don't have a money tree, and no, I can't make money materialize out of thin air. And no, I don't make a fortune doing what I do. I love what I do. And I am paid for what I do. And I am able to put things together in order to, you know, I can work and travel simultaneously. And therefore, I have a magnificent life experience because of that. It is never, ever, ever based around how much money I do or don't have. Because on any given day, I could have a wallet full of money, or I could have coins. That's it. And I don't base my personal wealth, as in my value as a human being, on what I've got in my bank. I just don't. And you know what? The best meditation exercise, people pay big bucks to go off on retreats and all that. That fireplace right there, see that? That's about 15 rolls of masking tape up there and little pots of paint and 3 weeks of my time. And it was the best working meditation I think I've ever done in my life, because I just had to sit and concentrate on the tape, on the line, be the paint, be the brush. I have learned to master the art of being in my body. People think it's wild that I can do what I do. Oh my God, did you have to have the near-death experience to be able to talk to the dead? Nope, I could do that before that. Did you have the near-death experience and then suddenly be able to know what happens in people's lives? No, I could do that before that too. What came after that was the ability to touch someone and download their hard drive and find out what's actually going on in the body, where they left a piece of themselves in the past. That was new. But I practice it every single day. I practice creating in my mind the ability to touch someone's body and know how to help them facilitate their own healing. And so I've become really good at it. And I believe that that's something that everybody could do, but everybody's not here to do that, if you get me. It's an ability that we all possess, and we can all do it on a personal level if we choose. But there's an awful lot of people out there who actually don't want to be well. And I don't mean well, remember, as in everything is perfect and 100% in the body, but that you're functioning and that you are rocking your own life experience. That's what well means to me. Well doesn't mean that you never have the sniffles. Well doesn't mean that you never wake up with a sore back. Well means that you are perfectly at peace with the process of listening to your body. And sometimes that involves being uncomfortable. So I'm probably the wellest person that I know, as far as the duality of having stuff going on in my body while simultaneously mastering it within my mind. And so I've taken that same energy and I can project that into somebody else's experience and help them do the same thing. And that's why they call me a healer. All I'm doing is washing the windows. I'm wiping the windows clean so people can see out and find their own way home again. And that's what it means to have your personal apotheosis. So it is now December 15th, because I've been talking for a while, but, in celebration of December 14th, my rebirth day, I share with you my personal apotheosis. It's my discovery of my own divinity. Know ye not that ye are gods? We are all creating our own experience, and we are created in the image of our Creator. Not physically, but by the fact that we possess the ability to create. Please, please don't forget that. Everything that you're doing, thoughts do become things. Not one random bad thought, but a series of accumulated thoughts, a focused, razor-sharp projection of what you want to do with your life. Those thoughts become things. And I'm very grateful 26 years after having that near-death experience that I can sit here and tell you that I absolutely love being alive. I am so, so grateful that I had the wherewithal to choose to come back here, because I like it here. And you might see lots of horror, and you might see lots of horrible politics and racism and bad stuff and all that. And I know that's all there. I see it. I'm in it, but I'm not of it. Because I choose to carry out a frequency of creating the experience in life that I want to have every single day. And that's one that involves people who are loving and kind and wonderful. And when I sin or I miss the mark, and something pops up in my body, or something pops up in my personal experience that needs my attention to go, hey, listen up, sunshine, you dropped the ball, pick it up and get running again. I am eternally grateful for that. I don't curse that. I don't wish it away. I love every single morsel of what it means to be human. Aches and pains, financial ups and downs, heartbreaks, all of it. Love it. I am so, so grateful to be alive. So that is my message to you this December 14th, 2017. And I look forward to sharing all the really fun stuff coming up in 2018 because I got some seriously fun stuff happening. Oh my gosh. And I can't wait to tell you all about it. So again, thank you always for being there. And for all the people who messaged in today, thank you so much. And have yourself a merry little Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, merry everything. And I'll love you and leave you. And until next time we talk, peace out.